If you've been posting content on YouTube and you're still not getting clients, it's just because no one ever taught you how content is supposed to work. My name's Jay, and I'm obsessed with helping coaches, or honestly anyone selling education, build freedom first businesses that scale using systems. My clients have been hitting $10, $20, and even $88,000 months without ever having to go viral, because there's a proven strategy for turning content into clients, and that's what I'm about to show you in this video. Now, I've analyzed thousands and thousands of videos across YouTube as well as my clients' content. And there are 3 specific shifts that you need to make in order to start turning your content into clients. But before I get into those tactical shifts, first I need to break down why your content isn't working. Because here's the truth, 99% of people are sabotaging their content and they don't even realize it. They think that if they post enough content, grow a big enough audience, or go viral, that eventually they will start getting clients. But that's not how it works. See, in most people's minds, this is what content creation looks like. Post content, get followers, make money. But this is what actually happens instead. You post content, you get no traction, you watch 100 YouTube videos to find the answers of why you're not getting any traction, and then you buy a course, then you join a coaching program to get help, and you get lost in all of the endless information they provide, and you still don't get clients, and then you eventually burn out and quit. So here's the truth. You should never be creating content to get clients. And I know that that sounds backwards, but just hear me out for a minute. See, when you create content with the intention of getting clients, it forces you into becoming performative within your content. You're trying to prove how smart you are. You're trying to show off how much value you can add. And let's be honest, you hope that at the end of the day, if you just say the right thing, people will buy. But when you create content from that mindset, it absolutely kills your conversions because it's not actually built for the viewer. Instead, your content should be built from one core intention. How can I move my ideal client one step closer to their goals? And when you create content from that intention, your message becomes clearer, your frameworks get tighter, and your teaching becomes more transformational. And then your content actually starts working for itself to go out and find clients for you, even if you have a small audience. Because now you're not just delivering value, you're creating belief. And belief is what actually drives sales. So the goal of creating content is actually just to create belief in your viewers' minds. Belief in themselves, belief that there's a better way, and belief that you are the right person to help them. But building that belief doesn't just happen by accident. Your content needs to help your prospects build trust in 3 specific areas. Trust in you as the coach, consultant, or expert by showing them that you understand exactly where they're at and you've either helped yourself or other people just like them before. The second is trust in your process by breaking down your ideas clearly, showing your unique methods, and proving that they actually work. And the third is trust in your offer by helping them believe that it's the most direct path to getting to the results they want. And if your content doesn't build trust in those 3 specific areas, they are not going to buy. It doesn't matter how valuable your videos really are. So here's the major shift. Every single piece of content you post should only exist for one reason: to help your ideal client take one step further towards their goals. Not your goals, not the algorithm's goals, theirs. And if it doesn't do that, then it shouldn't exist. So now that that's out of the way, let's get tactical for a minute, because shifting your mindset is important, but it's not enough to bridge the gap from where you are right now to where you want to be. You want your content to start working for you and generating revenue for your business. So let's talk about how we actually make that happen. Because here's the real difference between you and the creators who seem to print money every time they post a single piece of content. People like Iman Gadzhi, Alex Hormozi, or even Ali Abdaal. The thing is, they're not better than you. They didn't start off with having a big team. They just mastered one skill so well that they ended up having to build one because of how successful they were. See, most people think if they just create educational videos well enough and explain how to solve specific problems for their audience, the content will just do its job. But that's not how the human brain actually works. Your audience processes visuals 60,000 times faster than they do text. And they retain up to 80% of what they see, but only 10 to 20% of what they hear. So if your content is just you talking to the camera with no visual clarity or structure, they're forgetting most of what you say before the video even ends. So then what if the problem isn't the information that you're sharing, it's actually how you're delivering it? See, you have the curse of the expert, which means you've forgotten what it was like to be at the very beginning stages of your journey. So your content might make sense to you, but it flies completely over your audience's head. And most people are teaching from where they are, not where their audience actually is, which ends up creating a fundamental disconnect in all of their content. And that's why comprehension has to come first. Comprehension is what actually makes your content stick in someone's mind. It's what allows them to visually understand what you're saying, picture themselves doing it, and take action without overthinking the process. And if your content isn't easily understood by the viewer, then you've just wasted your time creating it. But that visual clarity alone isn't enough to make your content powerful, because getting someone to understand an idea isn't the same as getting them to fully buy into it, to believe it. And that is where transformation comes in, because comprehension without transformation is forgettable. Now, transformation happens when a single piece of content you create shifts how someone sees themselves, sees their problem, or what's possible for them. And when you combine comprehension with transformation, you stop educating your audience and you start changing the way that they think and see the world. That is the sweet spot that your content needs to hit, because that is what actually makes people want to work with you, because you gave them clarity that they couldn't get anywhere else. And that's exactly what this next framework was designed to help you do. So how do you actually master transformation and comprehension in your content? Well, it starts by understanding this. Clarity doesn't come from what you say, it comes from what they see. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to explain to you how to do something simple, like tie your shoes. You just loop the lace around, make a knot, and then you pull it tight. Simple. Now, if you had never tied your shoes before, do you feel like you would understand how to do it based upon that explanation? Probably not. And it's a very simple task. But if you've never done it before, that just made zero sense to you. There's no visuals, no sequencing, and no clear mental picture for you to walk away with to go and do it for yourself. Now, I'm going to explain the same exact thing for maximum comprehension by making it visually clear so your brain can connect the dots, see it, create a clear mental picture in your mind, and then help you execute it. Start by crossing the laces to make an X, pull one lace under the other, and then tighten it. Then make a loop with one lace, like a bunny ear, wrap the other lace around, pull it through the hole, and tighten both loops together. Same idea, but one version makes you confused as hell, and the other one makes your brain go, okay, got it. Because you could visually see exactly what I was saying step by step as I was saying it, and I used a clear sequence to explain the entire process as well. That is comprehension. When someone can mentally picture what you're saying, see themselves doing it, and take action on it immediately right after watching your video. Got it? Cool. Now let's focus on the transformation aspect of this. See, transformation is a combination of a belief shift, novelty, and an emotional impact. This is how you help your viewer integrate the concepts that you're teaching within your videos so that it actually creates a real change. At the core of your videos, you want to do one of three things. Either break a belief that they've been holding on to that's been keeping them stuck where they're at, say something they've already heard 100 times before by other people, but you make the concept more clear, simple, and understandable for them. Or C, show them a new angle that makes their problem actually feel solvable. This can be a contrarian take or an opposing opinion in your industry. So let me show you a bad example of this. If you want to lose weight, stop eating so much food and get in the gym more. Now let me show you a transformational example of the same statement. You don't need to eat less, you need to eat strategically. You're consuming way too many calories because you're eating food that tricks your body into staying hungry. All you need to do is adjust the types of foods you're eating and the problem will correct itself. And then you could also give a breakdown of like the type of foods that people are snacking on and then healthy alternatives that will allow them to stay fuller for longer. These two examples were the same exact topic, but they had a completely different impact on the viewer. Now, after you correct a limiting belief or you remove that belief, now you need to justify it with logic by saying something like, this is all it took for Susan to drop 50 pounds in the last 6 months while eating all the same types of foods that she loves. So if you can clearly state the problem, identify the wrong or limiting belief behind it, teach a better, easier, or more effective solution, and then justify that solution with logic, this will completely transform your content. And here's where it really gets interesting, because the better you start getting at doing this, the more your audience becomes addicted to your content. That combination of comprehension, transformation, and small micro wins triggers a massive spike of dopamine in the brain. And before they know it, they're constantly binge watching every single video you post without even knowing why. So this isn't just about educating, it's about training your audience to watch and binge your content. Because watchers become fans, fans become buyers, and buyers grow your business. So now you've learned how to create maximum comprehension and transformation within your content. But even if you nail that, there's still one mistake that can kill your results. And it's what most coaches do in like every single video they post. So tactical shift number 2 is stop doing too much. Most people are trying to cram way too much into one single video. They're trying to solve 10 problems in a 60-second video, or 100 problems in a 10-minute video. And it's not because they're bad at what they do, it's just because they're constantly trying to prove themselves within their content. They want to show you how much they know, and they think if they just keep providing more value, people will finally trust them. And it feels generous on the surface, right? But underneath it, it's coming from a place of insecurity, not strategy. And ironically, that backfires because when you try to do everything, your audience walks away with nothing. They're overwhelmed, they don't know what to focus on, so they just keep scrolling and they forget about everything you said. And the worst part about this is you're actually training them not to buy from you because they probably won't even finish your videos or click on the next one you post. If they don't think your content is valuable enough to pay for, why would they ever pay you? Your content is just creating more overwhelm instead of creating clarity. Now imagine this scenario. You're at a restaurant and you ask a waiter for a glass of water. And instead of them just pouring the glass of water from a pitcher, they pull out a fire hose, drench you with it, and completely overfill the cup. That is what overgiving looks and feels like within your content. And while your intentions are to help the viewer, you're drowning them in information that they can't even fully receive because you've been told to just provide value without actually being told what that means. Giving people more and more information is not inherently valuable. There is an abundance of information all over the internet. That's not what people need. People need clarity. So think about it this way. What's more valuable to you? Me rattling off 500 random tips about building a business in 60 seconds? Or me handing you the one single missing piece of information that you need to skyrocket your business right now? I think we can both agree it's the second one. Because people don't need more tips, they need more breakthroughs. And breakthrough content is focused, specific, and built for clarity, not complexity or value. I want to give you a mental model to use as well as a framework that you can use to stop doing this in your content. What you want to do is maximize for depth in your content. Instead of thinking about multiple different problems to solve, you want to think about how deep can you go on one topic and how clear can you make that one topic or that solution that you're providing in each specific video. All we're looking for are small micro wins in every piece of content you create. This is the difference between the surface level content that everyone else is posting and the high quality content that your audience is literally starving for right now. Now, let me show you a dead simple way of being able to figure out if you're overgiving in your content, and I'll show you how to fix it. Before you post your next piece of content, run it through the RAIN filter. R stands for relevance. Is every part of your video tied to one clear, specific core problem? Actionable. Does it lead to one simple action or mindset shift? Insightful. Does it unlock one meaningful aha moment or belief shift for your audience? And necessary. Am I including only what's necessary or am I adding additional fluff to sound smart in the video? Now, if you run every single piece of content you create through this filter, if it fails more than one of these checks, then you know you're overgiving in your content and you need to reel it back in, simplify it, make some changes, strip it down, do whatever you need to do. But I promise you that your content will consistently get better if you simply just apply this. Now, there's one last skill that separates people that just create good content from the people that print clients with every single video they post. See, most people are wasting their time focusing so much on what is inside of their videos, and they focus way less on the most important parts of content creation. Because content isn't about what you say inside of your videos, it's about how you package what you say. Every piece of content you create should be built around one powerful core idea. Not what you think is valuable, but what your audience actually wants and needs to hear from you based on their pain, their mindset, and their knowledge gaps. Then you need to wrap it in a package using language that your audience is already speaking, that's structured for maximum comprehension and transformation. Remember the CNT framework we talked about, and then guides them to the next stage of their journey, which is also deeper into your ecosystem. Because if someone doesn't stop scrolling or actually click on your video, then nothing else matters. So the next and most critical skill you need to master is called packaging. And yeah, you've probably already heard that word before, but let's be real. Have you actually mastered that skill yet? Because great content without great packaging is like writing a best-selling book and then hiding it inside of a gas station next to the beef jerky. So let me break down what packaging really is. The key elements of packaging are your title, your hook, your thumbnail, and the core concept or idea that your video is actually based around. Now, this is specifically for YouTube, but of course for short form content, that would include your hook, your visual hook, and the core content idea that the whole video was based around. Now, all of these elements need to work together like a symphony in order to prime your prospects or viewers into becoming a buyer. So every time you package up a content idea, the goal is always going to be the same: to stop the scroll, to create curiosity, get people to care, and then get them to go deeper into your ecosystem. And none of that is going to happen if you don't have world-class packaging around your content. Now, if you're in the early phases of content creation, maybe you've been doing it for a year or less, and you haven't mastered getting like a high level of views, then you probably shouldn't be creating your packaging from scratch. Now, keep in mind, this is based on the industry and it's industry specific, because if you're in a smaller niche, then lower views are naturally going to be expected. But you never want to come up with these concepts on your own. You want to study the best in your industry to figure out what exactly works before you start doing it on your own. Just like you wouldn't try to create a full 5-course meal that you've never made before without using a recipe. Other creators out there that are more successful than you, they are the recipe you should be following. So you need to crawl before you walk, and crawling looks like stealing from other people's success, because the best way to shortcut your own growth is by modeling what's already working first. And I don't mean word for word copying. That's not what this is about. I just mean strategically using what's already working within your niche. You want to find outlier content that's outperforming everything else and reverse engineer the hook, the title, the thumbnail, and the entire structure of that video. Then you can plug in your own message into that proven framework. So you're just using it as an outline. And once you've done that a few dozen times, you'll start to actually recognize the patterns of why these videos are working and why your old content wasn't working. And that's when you start moving into walk mode, because you've been tweaking, you've been testing, and you've been layering in more of your own unique voice. And eventually you'll start to get better, and all of this will become 10 times more natural for you to execute on. And pretty soon you'll be the one setting the trends and inventing new content styles because of how skilled you become. But trying to jump straight into originality before you've actually put in the reps, that's how you end up staying stuck for years. So I'm going to give you 4 simple steps so you can start crawling today. I want you to go on YouTube and just start scrolling through YouTube. Pick out just the titles and the thumbnails, the videos that you actually want to click on, and start saving them. Take a screenshot, do whatever you need to do. Next, download the vidIQ extension. I'm going to drop the link in the description of this video. Once you download that extension in your browser, it will immediately start showing you outlier content. Outlier content is content that's outperforming everything else on someone's channel. So that means the video idea outperformed every other video they had, and that is for a reason. I want you to look at the videos that are high performing versus the ones that aren't. We call those packaging concepts, and those are going to be your secret weapon. So you are going to build a swipe file of titles, hooks, thumbnails from these outlier videos. Step 2 is I want you to actually study and analyze what made these videos perform. And what I mean by that is, if you watch them, what are the parts that keep you most interested? What makes you hooked on the video yourself as a viewer? Then you will start to understand what it's like on the other side of the screen for someone that's watching your own videos, and you'll automatically start to understand what would make your own content a little bit better over time. What emotions were triggered while watching the video? How was the video framed for the audience and not for the creator? Now, step 3, choose a topic and pick a video format that would work well for the video that you want to create yourself. And for the next 5 to 10 videos that you create, I want you to do the same exact thing over and over again until you start to naturally learn through repetition. Look at the click-through rate, the watch time, and the 30-second retention of every single video that you post, and you will start to immediately see patterns on videos that worked versus videos that didn't. Let the data tell you what's actually working and why. Now, if you don't want to do this yourself, I already have a ton of templates inside of my school community that you can easily download for free. It's called the Outcast Collective, and I've linked it in the description. We talk about content, business growth, and all things content creation. So if you're truly wanting to grow and scale your business, hop in the free community and enjoy the resources. Let's go ahead and bring all of this full circle now. So you've learned how to optimize your content for maximum transformation and comprehension. You've learned how to stop overwhelming your audience by overgiving in your content, and you've learned how to package your content like the greatest creators on YouTube. So now you should be able to print clients with your content as long as you actually execute on what you've learned today. Now in the next video, I'm going to be breaking down how to find the best content ideas for your specific target audience so that they see you as the one and only authority within your niche. If you're interested in watching, then subscribe to the channel so you can see it when it drops.